So something new that we implemented in our garden this year is called a chicken tractor. Now, if you've never heard the term before, a chicken tractor is basically a mobile chicken pen. So it's usually small enough so you can move it around from one spot to the next and rotate it around a certain area. This particular garden here gets farmed pretty hard. We grow food in it pretty much year round, so there's always something planted in this garden. As a result, the soil gets depleted pretty quickly. In addition to the heat and the humidity just burning up all the organic matter, the constant rotation of crops and constantly planting and harvesting and turning over crops, we have to constantly think about adding more nutrients to the soil so our plants have something to feed off of. So we thought, what better way to kind of enhance that nutrient input to add a chicken tractor. We've had chickens our whole life, but they've always been in a fixed location in a pen or a coop. But the idea of a mobile chicken pen was intriguing to us, so we can move it around the garden and let the chickens eat the leftover crops and let them fertilize the soil for us before we plant. So if you search online, you'll find that there's many different chicken tractor designs out there. You can find many different floor plans. You can find some kits that you just need to assemble the unit, or you can go to some stores and find ones that are already assembled. This one here we built ourselves and kind of designed it ourselves. It's about 4 foot wide by 12 to 13 foot long. We've got an enclosure over here, kind of a shade area that's about 4 by 4. This allows them somewhere to get and cool off during these hot days. It's also where their nesting boxes are, their food, their water, all that good stuff. So we started out with just 4 chickens in here. We had some Buff Orpington chicks that were hatched from Dad's chicken coop over on his homestead. That was around January or February. Once those got a little bigger, we put them in this coop here. So we've got a white buff rooster and then 3 of the kind of light orange buff hens. And then recently we added 2 more hens to the group. Our neighbor had a couple he was trying to get rid of, so we added those as well. And these are all pretty young birds. They're just starting to lay eggs now. So currently, and for about the last month or so, we've been letting these chickens eat on these zipper cream peas that we had planted in the spring. We did get a pretty good crop of peas despite the heavy pest pressure. And then we thought, instead of pulling these peas up, pulling the plants up and putting them in the compost pile, we'll just let our chickens graze on these, and they can eat the pea leaves, eat the leftover peas, and then I'll also add a lot of nutrients back to the soil in addition to what the peas are doing as nitrogen fixers. So we put them on this plot here where we had 4 rows or 2 double rows of peas. And then we've just basically moved them down 1 row and back up the other double row. So we leave them on a certain spot about 5 to 7 days, and then we pull the chicken tractor down the row a little bit where some fresh vegetation is. These have already made 1 cycle around this plot of peas. And the peas that were initially the first spot the chickens were on, those peas have came back pretty well and even started making more pea pods here, which the chickens really love. So I would imagine it will probably take about 2 more rotations on this plot before they completely mow down all these peas. In addition to using the chickens to remove old crop debris, we'll also be using them with our cover cropping scheme once it gets later into the fall. So we plant some red clover and stuff out here, and we can rotate the chicken tractor around that clover plot, let the chickens keep the clover mowed down. They stay happy because they eat the clover, and the ground stays happy because it has that cover crop on it. So in addition to the chickens eating whatever crop residue we have them sitting on top of, we also supplement them with a little bit of layer pellets. And then every now and then I give them a treat, like some of our truckers' favorite field corn that we grew. They'll just eat it right off the cob. But for the most part, they really enjoy eating this pea crop here, eating the leaves and the peas that are left over or ones that have regenerated. In the very near future, we've got plans to expand the possibilities with our chickens and our chicken tractor in our garden. We've got a poultry fence kit from our friends at Premier One Supplies. It's 100 foot of electric fencing, poultry fencing. So we can fence off a 25 by 25 area at the time, and the fencing is really easy to move around the garden. So what we'll do is we'll cut us a little cubby hole in the side of this chicken tractor here, so the chickens can come in and out, and we'll basically surround the chicken tractor with the fencing, and then that way they can cover a lot more area in a day, that we get even more fertilization than just the area of the chicken tractor. They can mow down some of these cover crops and these residual crops a lot faster because they have more area to cover. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you have chickens or you're thinking about getting chickens and you also grow a vegetable garden, I would definitely consider implementing a chicken tractor as part of your garden plan. The chicken tractor can do all your fertilizing for you and prepare that soil really nicely to minimize the inputs you have to add when you actually start growing the crops.